This is CBC Here and Now.
It's certainly concerning when we have this amount of people who are dying in provincial correctional facilities, absolutely. I think what we really need is a more systematic look at the correctional service.
Calls for change to the provincial correctional system after 4 inmates die in custody within a year.
Chris Sutton is identified as the inmate who died this weekend at Her Majesty's Penitentiary.
It's a beautiful sunny day on the base of Marble Mountain, and business owners on the West Coast say this new request for proposals from the government is exactly what's needed to make this place a year-round attraction.
Good evening, I'm Debbie Cooper.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes.
Tonight, we can tell you the name of the man who died inside Her Majesty's Penitentiary on Saturday.
32-year-old Chris Sutton was found dead in his cell. He's the 4th person to die in provincial custody in a year. Here Now's Malone Mullen has been chasing details today and joins us now live. Malone?
Yes, I spoke to his family earlier today, and while they didn't want to go on camera, they did confirm that the inmate who died Saturday was Chris Sutton, a 32-year-old man from St. John's who is no stranger to prisons. Sutton has made headlines before, once for saving someone's life at age 14. Here he is accepting a bravery award. He's also known for escaping custody. He once slipped out of his handcuffs and got away from guards while in transport. But even though he spent years behind bars, Sutton's parents say he didn't want to be in jail, especially not inside Her Majesty's Penitentiary, a place Sutton's father called a hellhole. Sutton had complained about a lack of programs and resources in the prison, an opinion echoed by advocates.
Clearly, there's issues of overcrowding, there's, the lack of resources, the wait times to get into programs, high remand population. I think that the government really has to look at, the Department of Justice really has to look at providing some additional mental health services in our correctional facilities, and that should happen sooner than later, and not wait for the end of an independent investigation.
Sutton is the 4th person to die in a prison across the province in the last year. A married father of 2 also died by suicide at the same facility last August, and 2 women died suddenly at a prison in Clarenville. Sutton's cause of death is not yet confirmed, but sources have said he died by suicide. His family confirmed that Sutton had attempted suicide about 4 years ago. Around the same time, he was being repeatedly held in solitary confinement for up to 30 days at a stretch. Justice Minister Andrew Parsons talked about the need for more mental health services in prisons, but said the challenge was finding the resources. Parsons visited the prison last night to ask the inmates what changes they wanted to see.
I met with the inmates last night, and one of them was talking about access to services, and I had to remind them that this is not just a challenge within institutions. This is a challenge province-wide. We have a number of people, whether you're in or out of custody, who trying to get access to mental health professionals is tough. We can always do more, and I think that's the focus of where our government is.
Parsons says he doesn't know yet why people are dying in custody, and he wants to find out before he commits to any policy changes. But for Sutton and his family, those changes will come too late. I'm Malone Mullen reporting live for Here and Now.
Fire officials in Grand Falls, Windsor are investigating after this historical property caught fire early this morning. The fire broke out at the mill manager's house at around 3:30 a.m. The house has been vacant since the Abitibi mill closed 9 years ago. It was used as a residence for the mill manager. Firefighters arrived this morning and saw extensive damage to the building.
We arrived on the scene. Of course, there was a fire on the exterior wall here behind me, and the fire had also extended into the attics. And we have substantial attic fire in progress at the time by the time we arrived. This is on the site of the former Abitibi Grand Falls house, and this is the former mill manager's house. It's on, of course, a beautiful property here on Lincoln Road, and it's basically been vacated since the mill closed, some 8 or 9 years ago.
Well, the Newfoundland Growlers unveiled their logo in late May in St. John's, and now their head coach is finally on the ground. Former NHLer and New Jersey Devils assistant coach Ryan Close says this is a great way to start his first head coaching job.
When the whole process went through and I got offered a job, obviously the excitement started to kick in, and my kids were probably the most excited, and get back around the grandparents and family. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's been probably close to 17 years, and I have actually, besides a month or two in the summertime, actually lived back home. So I'm excited to get back. New franchise, a new team, a new league, there's a lot to be excited about. My first time is having an opportunity to be a head coach, so I'm thrilled.
There he is.
Oh, the summer's recreational food fishery has opened, and it was certainly a success for this shark, at least. Clint Somerton told CBC his crew caught 7 cod, but the shark ended up with 3 of them. His father felt something big on the fishing line, and it turned out to be the shark. They got the shark off the line, but it kept coming back and getting caught on their hook 3 times. That's a big one.
That is a dangerous looking animal.
I would have been very happy to give it all 7 of mine. That would have been just fine. Yeah.
And I guess the rules should be don't put your hand down to pull out the cod.
Absolutely not. They're lucky they didn't need a bigger boat. Yeah. They did okay.
You saw whales in person, but
No,
I
actually went down to that area, but I am a little disappointed, but from a distance, right? Just from a distance. Today, what a gorgeous day out there. Could you believe it? Yeah, we're into July, but we had that other month, that January thing.
Let's forget about that.
I know, we'd all like to, but I thought what we'd do is just take a little bit of a look back now that it's behind us and we can kind of clear our heads and take a look back at what it was that we were seeing there and how did it really stack up when we get right down to it. So if we have a look just at the calendar, first of all, just look at the colors. So anywhere that's blue, we're talking about days where the temperature was below average, and an average to start out the month would have been right around 13 degrees, and then by the end of the month of June, we should have been right there close to 18 degrees. So all the days in blue, temperatures were below average. But the other thing is that a couple of these days that are orange, meaning the temperature was a little bit above average, it was on 2 of them, it was by 0.1 degree. So I don't even really count those. So that's a couple that were just closer to average, so we can take off a couple of these orange ones. It really still doesn't tell the story, does it? When you look at this, it kind of looks like it was almost evenly split. We know it wasn't, and the reason is that we can have a look, first of all, at the rainfall, the amounts, almost 140 millimeters of rain. On average, it would be less than 100. And if I put the actual temperatures on, the other story when we look at the climate data is that how did it really feel? Well, temperatures were way below seasonal. It wasn't that they were a little bit. On days when they were below, they were way below. And on the 4th, it also came with some snowfall. We normally don't see any snow in June, and we had 0.8 centimeters. Carolyn?
Thanks, Colette. Well, when the provincial government issued a request for proposals Friday for Marble Mountain, many of those who operate facilities could see dollar signs. The government is looking for private operators to develop, manage, even own Marble Mountain Ski Resort. It's a move many local business owners say is a long time coming. Here Now's Colleen Connors has more from Steadybrook.
Well, the main reason it's here, of course, is because of the slopes, and usually there's a full blanket of snow for everyone to enjoy. But on a stunning summer day like today, West Coast business owners say it's about time the government looked at this as a possible year-round tourist attraction.
Well, I think, the government is on the right track here. We've got, an enormous amount of land here that has an enormous amount of potential.
Flynn has already tapped into that potential with 5 ziplining tours daily, plus all-day access to the Spider Challenge. 75% of his business is in June, July, and August. He already pays $60,000 a year in rent to Marble. This new request for proposals means he's now looking at condos, conference centers, and
we would like to move, for example, this inside so that we can operate it year-round. Obviously, we're not going to get the business in the wintertime that we do in the summer, and we recognize that. But the opportunity of doing some of these things, I think really it's up to our imagination of what can be done here.
Hal, who wishes there was snow all year round, can see restaurants, snowmobile tours, and mountain biking trips for tourists in the 50-kilometer radius of the hill, those who use it the most.
It's a lot of people with a lot of work invested over the last 20 years has finally come to this. Finally, someone is here going to do something and develop our beautiful mountain that's around us here today, and hopefully attract more tourism, create better economic activity. How can you say it's just a great day.
The government doesn't have the money to improve or expand Marble's operations, and all options are on the table, including selling. Ski operations have taken some hard hits in revenue in recent years, especially the winter storm in January and the free skiing last Easter weekend.
Well, then let's start talking about what's going to happen over at Marble. Something has to change.
Dix has operated Marble Inn Resort across the street for 25 years and says private sector development is nothing new. But he likes the leasing option offered by government.
But I'd like to see some younger people come in. And the lease option really gives them an opportunity, little startups and operations that could position themselves at the 50 acres, at 50-acre site below, and lease rather than buy.
Young or old business owners interested in developing Marble Mountain have until August 3rd to submit proposals. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Steadybrook.
It's beautiful, like the atmosphere. Yesterday we were at someone's house.
That's the Toronto Children's Chorus singing their version of Eyes the Bye at Cochrane Street United Church yesterday. They're here as part of Podium, a national choral conference and festival taking place in St. John's. Singing is obviously a major part of the 5-day event, but so is making friends and having a good time.
It's beautiful, like the atmosphere. Yesterday we were at someone's house and we just got to feel the whole atmosphere. You had karaoke, you got to sing. Newfoundland is beautiful, and that's what we love so much about traveling, like feeling the people, the community, and living their life for a while. Yeah.
I felt it was a really educational experience because we've been going to master classes and conferences, seeing other choirs from around the world perform, and it's really opened my eyes to what music can be and how to discover that and explore that, and it's been really cool.
I've loved to see all the other choirs and sometimes even talk to them, and right now we're working with Hamilton and Cordana, which is really great. We get to make friends and just know people from different parts of Canada and the world, so it's really interesting.
Well, a disabled St. John's dog is benefiting from the kindness of strangers. And these aren't just local strangers. People from the other side of the globe are donating their time and skills to help an Irish wolfhound named Wesley. Here now's Mark Quinn reports.
This love story had a very unusual beginning. It started when 10-year-old Catherine Power tried to take a neighbor's Irish wolfhound for a walk.
And I went straight across my belly through the yard, and I just remember being dragged behind this massive Irish wolfhound thinking, one day, this is what I'm going to own. I'm going to have an Irish wolfhound in my life. Whatever these creatures are, they're amazing.
2 years ago, Catherine Power's dream came true. She got an Irish wolfhound puppy that grew into this 185-pound gentle giant. But sadly, Wesley's medical history has been very complicated.
Had his first surgery done when he was about 8 and a bit months old.
Dysplasia and arthritis have destroyed the joints of his front legs. Most of the time, Wesley is housebound, but Power hopes to change that. Chatting with other Irish wolfhound lovers online, they hatched a plan. They're going to build a dog cart to help Wesley get out more.
So it sort of just snowballed from there.
An Ontario man has offered to build Wesley's cart. An artist in Australia wants to decorate it. And a Newfoundland company, Akita Equipment, has agreed to ship the cart from Ontario.
Suddenly this cart has become WestJet. They're painting it in the same colors. It's going to be Wesley's cart called WestJet.
Walking is now a laborious, painful effort, but Power hopes that Wesley will soon be riding in style on his new wheels. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, this travel trailer made an 8-year-old boy happy today. At Islander RV, the Children's Wish Foundation presented it to Landon Whalen and his family. Landon is one of only 30 people in the world who have fawn disease, a progressive disorder of the nervous system, but he loves to camp, and that's what he'll do with this trailer that's wide enough to accommodate his wheelchair. Landon hasn't let his disorder get in the way of his love of dancing, and like most kids his age, he's a big fan of Nintendo.
What we'll use it for? Family time, camping, going to the different parks, spending time together, and you know, Landon loves to have campfires and roast marshmallows and go swimming and you know, all the things. He loves camping. He just loves being in the camper. playing his games.
An appropriate shot, having just come out of the Canada Day long weekend. Such a beautiful evening in St. John's.
Would be breezy for the rowers, I guess, but it is feeling like summer, isn't it? We'll be checking back with Colette later in the program for the forecast.
It takes the right technique, good instincts, and of course, brute strength to become arm wrestling champion of Canada. Coming up next, we'll speak with the man who beat them all. And welcome back to Here and Now. The National Arm Wrestling Championships were held in Laval, Quebec over the weekend, and for the first time, a Newfoundlander took home the gold. Peter Dalton of St. John's beat out the competition in the left arm championship. He won another medal too, silver in the right arm competition. Over 400 arm wrestlers from across Canada took part in the competition, but it's Dalton who now qualifies for the World Championship. I caught up with Dalton this afternoon to talk about his big win. Hey, Peter, this is kind of intimidating for me, locking hands with the arm wrestling champ, both provincially and nationally. Why don't we start by you showing me how to arm wrestle?
Okay, first of all, you have to have your wrist straight. Your shoulders got to be parallel to the table.
Okay.
And starts with your fingers, your finger strength, and your wrist, and you got to pull towards yourself.
Like that?
Yeah, but not just your arm, your whole body. There you go. when I do that, then it's very hard for you to come back. You have to have a really strong wrist. Get your finger over your thumb.
Oh.
Feel the difference?
When you're arm wrestling someone, what steps are you going through? What are you keeping in mind with your technique and your approach?
Well, number one, you got to have it in your mindset that you're going to win, no matter who it is in front of you. So you just got to get psyched up mentally, and the rest will flow.
How do you get yourself psyched up mentally?
I just think that nobody can beat me, and that's just the way it is, and it just pans out that way.
Have you ever arm wrestled a girl before?
And just for practice.
Really?
Yeah, just for fun. Yeah.
So I'm not your first?
No.
1, 2, 3.
You're really strong.
Am I?
Yes, you are.
Wow. Now you're not even trying, are you?
No.
No, this is like resting position for you. Okay, take me up. All right. You're not a huge guy.
No.
So where does all your strength come from?
Just fishing back in the day. I started early. And I'm a carpenter by trade, so with that I'm always using my hands, and I got strong along the way. I guess it was with genetics and just the love of the sport.
So arm wrestling as a sport, how popular is it? How many people take part in this?
It's actually very popular in the rest of Canada, but somewhere down the line, then Newfoundland got left out, so I'm going to try to bring it back.
Okay, and I guess you're off to a good start.
Yes.
Tell me about the competition.
Oh, it was a fierce competition, and I just had my mindset that I'm coming up here for a reason, so I ended up with the gold.
You went up there thinking, I'm going to win this whole thing. I'm going to beat everyone else in Canada.
Yeah, that's my mindset, yeah.
So what gave you that drive? What gave you that confidence?
I guess it's just beating people over the years. I guess it just built up confidence along the way, and now I feel unstoppable.
What's your next competition milestone that you want to hit? Is there a world competition?
There is a world competition. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for the worlds yet, but we'll see. This is just all brand new. It's kind of surreal for me. So
you're like the arm wrestling upstart from Newfoundland.
Yes, to bring the sport back to the rock.
Were other people surprised that you kind of came in and you beat everyone?
Very surprised, actually. They came up to me afterwards and they said, "Do you know that you just beat the 10-time Canadian champion?" And I said, "No, I didn't realize it at all." I guess it was better that I didn't know, right? So I probably would have been a little bit intimidated. I don't know how the match would have went, so I was just going on my own drive and knowing that I can do it, and it panned out for me. So I'm happy over that.
Well, I can't beat you in an arm wrestle, but what about thumb wrestling?
Thumb wrestling? I never did much of that. I'm pretty sure I'm good at it.
Yeah? You're pretty sure? 1, 2, 3, go! Darn! Well,
Okay.
Peter, thank you so much. That was a lot of fun.
You're
And
quite
good luck
welcome.
with the world competition. We'll be watching.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
That was a lot of fun.
It was.
You're just going to have to do more digging in the garden and get all that upper body strength
get
going.
my biceps going.
Congrats to Peter. Good luck at the Worlds.
Gorgeous evening down by the lake, but will it stay this way?
Paulette's up next after the break with your forecast. And so many whale videos to show you.
Oh, it's amazing. Yes, all over the weekend, recorded videos. We'll have that next.
Oh, fantastic. It's close to shore.
It is very close to shore.
Update is brought to you by Take Charge Business Efficiency Program. Over 570 businesses have saved energy and taken charge of their bottom line. Find out how you can too.
Welcome back to Here and Now. And just before the break, we showed you a little taste of some amazing video.
Just have a look at these pictures. It's a whale feeding in Point of Bay. The pictures were taken by Terry Grimes.
Gorgeous shot. Wow. And just nearby in Phillips Head, this whale was caught on camera over the weekend. Leslie White captured this video. Thank you so much.
Close to the shore.
Oh,
Must
wow.
be coming in after the Capeland.
Yeah, look at that.
Spectacular.
Beautiful.
And then as we have a look, we have another video. And this one was captured by Trinity Eco Tours and shows a mother and a calf putting on a show.
Oh, how nice.
What a show. I love it. I can't believe how close they are.
Wow.
That's
Keep 'em
amazing.
coming. Send us in those videos.
I give them a 10 out of 10. I give them an A+. You know, earlier I was showing you a look back at the month of June. We all know how it felt, but I thought we should grade it as well. Do you guys have a mark that you would give that
Is this
month?
a mark?
Anybody at home?
This is my mark.
Can you think of anything?
I'm with her.
Yeah, that's basically where I took this. We can go ahead and have a look back at what I was showing you, that graphic, and just kind of showing you all those days in blue were the cooler days. The days in orange were warmer than average, but we know they weren't really that warm, and the cold days were just so cold. So I thought we should give it a mark. There's our chalkboard, and I'm going to give this one actually a B, and that's because I wanted to give it a big fat boo in terms of how we kind of felt about January. I would have, I know some of you at home may have given it a different mark, but I didn't want to, know what words we might have gone with there. So we'll just go with the B here. Current temperatures out there today, beautiful day, an A. And let me tell you that in Happy Valley Goose Bay, 30 degrees today earlier. This is the current temperature now, 25. We're looking at 22 in St. John's. Cooler, of course, for Cape Race. But just to look at some of the highs for today, 23 St. John's. There's that 30 that I mentioned. Just a glorious day with all kinds of sunshine there. And I will say that for Labrador City, well, 22 degrees, not a bad day, but what's happening is we've got a little system that's kind of coming through and bringing some showery activity, and I'll show you how that's going to play through. But just a quick look too at our current sustained winds. We have a southerly flow. It's generally on the lighter side, what we're seeing, but we're going to find those winds from the southwest starting to kind of pick up, and late in the day tomorrow they're actually going to change and turn around more towards the north. But that's late in the day tomorrow once the cold front passes. For now, just some kind of very spotty showers. It's been mostly light stuff through here. Along the end of that front, we're seeing a little bit more moisture, and the models want to bring in a little more moisture through the overnight hours. So see that light stuff coming right through the Avalon. I would say 1, 2, maybe under 5 millimeters of rain showers, what we'll see. There's just not a lot there. May linger into tomorrow morning with just a little bit of fog that we could still experience, but then we'll see the sun coming out, high pressure building in. So those of you in Labrador, by the way, going to see a clearing trend there towards western Labrador, and those showers moving through, but very quickly for eastern Labrador. And then as we're heading through into Thursday, that high pressure in place, that's why there's going to be lots of sunshine. We're behind that cold front, so the wind direction means it's going to feel maybe a little bit cooler, but it's not going to be too bad, actually. So just having a look overnight tonight, what we're looking at, that clearing trend I mentioned, getting rid of those showers for Labrador West, so 8 degrees your low. It'll be a little cooler there, a bit more cloud cover, and a warmer day today. So to the east, it's going to be a low of 14. Overnight tonight for central parts of the island, 17. For western sections, more around 16. And again, some of those spotty showers, we'll see the light stuff coming through across towards St. John's and through in the overnight hours, and most of it will be there in the overnight, and you're not going to experience it into tomorrow. 14 degrees overnight tonight, and then a look at how we do for midweek. We're already there because of the long weekend, right? 18 degrees for Labrador West tomorrow with some sunshine. We'll see some sunshine too for Labrador East, but a little cooler than you were today at 19. For western parts of the island, it's 21, but sunshine is that ridge of high pressure. That is sinking air. It's very stable air. 24, cooler there too, because today we had some temperatures in those upper 20s. And a look for St. John's, 24 degrees. Again, the morning may be just a little bit spotty with some mist and some fog, but then things are going to improve. Debbie?
Thanks, Colette. Well, a crab fisherman turned pencil artist is taking a new career path by opening his own art studio in Twillingate. Scott Lewis started his business this year and is now finding inspiration in familiar territory. Here now's Garrett Barry put together this report for us.
It's a technique entitled stippling or pointillism. What it is just me doing a bunch of dots, almost like my hand is working as a sewing machine. And the dots are so fine that when it's all filled in, you can barely tell that it's actually dots until you look really close. Being from Newfoundland, especially Twillingate, is very easy to get inspired around here with the natural beauty we have of, you know, like the icebergs, the whales, the old fishing stages, and that's what I like to do. Well, I was born and raised in Twillingate. I fished for 9 years on a crab boat, and I also worked at the fish plant for several years. But I decided to quit and pursue this. I could see the fishery going downhill pretty quick with the cuts and the quotas, and even our plant closed down a couple years ago. So I figured if I don't make this step now, I could end up moving away, which is something I didn't want to do. I wanted to raise my child here, so. For me, it was, I used to get seasick a lot, so I never did get my sea legs. So to quit fishing for me was very easy. But I mean, even when I did quit, this was far from being what it is now. And I mean, like I said, after that, I worked at the fish plant for a few years, but this was slowly, the snowball effect was taking place with my art. And I realized it was time that, you know, if I was going to make the step, to do it now. So I did, and very pleased that I did. So everything's going great. This was the first one that I ever did when I really put my heart and soul into drawing. And it's a picture I called Rugged Stages. My grandfather's stage is in the middle. And when I did it, a lot of people were impressed by it and they wanted to buy copies. So I just did a few cheap Xerox copies and gave it to my friends and family. And my best seller actually is the one I did last year. I called Strange Looking Birdhouse. The puffins inside the outhouse, and tourists just find it really funny. It's a bit of that Newfoundland humor. So I never thought it would ever sell, but that turned into my best seller. What I enjoy most is the fact that I'm doing something that I love for a living. And I mean, when I worked at other jobs, the fish plant, whatever, I mean, when the alarm went off in the morning, you're like, oh, another day I got to punch it. Now when the alarm goes off, I'm up and I can't wait to come in, and at the end of the day, I don't even want to leave.
Well, Scott's pencil art studio has turned into a bit of a family business. As you saw in that piece, Scott's son is selling his own drawings for $1 a pop. He says he wants to sell lots of pictures and make lots of money.
I want to be like my dad. Yeah, I just kind of think of, just want to draw something. So then so I look at a few pictures and then I found what I want to draw and I just draw it.
How nice. I hope he does make lots of money by selling lots of his pictures. Budding entrepreneur there.
Some controversy and frustration in the angling world. Catch and release or hook and cook? That's coming up.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, the salmon fishing season is in full swing right now. Anglers are allowed to keep one fish, but they can catch and release up to 3 a day to a maximum of 10 per season. That is pending a review in late July. The 10 per season rule is causing some controversy. Last week, Anthony met up some salmon anglers on the Northeast River near Placentia to discuss that issue.
Calm day on the river, Jim Din, but not always calm in the angling world. Some controversy over catch and release. Why is that?
A lot of unfortunate controversy over catch and release, Anthony. It's a practice that has worldwide acceptance, proven throughout the world for its conservation practice. However, here in this province, it seems to have acquired a very bad name, and in due in part because of government's recent regulation changes to the fishery.
Okay, so spell this out for me. Why is catch and release under question or scrutiny?
Well, in the early part of May, the DFO set its regulations at 1 fish retention and 3 per day for catch and release. And from our point of view, it was the best possible approach to conserve the stocks. However, it didn't take long before we had our own provincial government set a maximum limit of 10, with the assumption that for every 10 fish, 1 fish is killed. And that's not really what the literature says. That's a management number that DFO uses. However, done right, the mortality from catch and release is almost non-existent.
Well, Jerry Byrne seems to think that anglers are going to stop fishing after they've caught and released 10 fish. How does that get enforced?
There have been problems with enforcement, with resourcing of enforcement, provincial enforcement over the last few years. And it's a question that remains unanswered, except it's supposed to be some sort of a social enforcement on the river where anglers are supposed to be enforcing each other. I can't see how that's going to work. Unless it's going to engender conflict, or basically how you're going to know that you have a fish on the hook, or how many you've actually landed.
I suspect a lot of people are going to say they had a trout on the line.
And that's a possibility. It's unfortunate because the practice, in some ways, it's given this practice a very bad name and an undeserved name. The fact is, whether you're a retention angler or a catch and release angler, at some time throughout your career as an angler or the season, you're going to be releasing fish that are too big to keep or are undersized. So it's important that you do it well. All anglers practice catch and release.
And your contention is, if done properly, most fish that are caught and released will survive?
Yes, very clearly. I've seen it done. I've seen it done properly. I've also seen catch and release done badly, where someone catches a fish that's far too big, plays it far too long, drags it in over the rocks, and then takes it up for a few minutes to take pictures, and then shoves it back in the water because it's too. That is not catch and release done well. So catch and release, really minimal handling, keep the fish in the water, the use of a catch and release net, all these things can help ensure the survivability of that salmon.
So Andrew, what are your thoughts on catch and release?
Catch and release is a great idea. It's highly successful. It's good for the fish. It's good for the anglers.
What do you make of the sort of bad name that it seems to be getting as a result of provincial government policies?
Well, the policy this year kind of turns people off catch and release because they put so many regulations on it. Well, they're claiming they got no signs, but the reality is they got tons of signs and they can get it from anywhere, all over the world. But the thing is they don't agree with the signs and catch and release, so they'll throw it out the window and go with an opinion.
Do you think most people are sort of on side that catch and release is the way to go?
Yeah, my buddies, absolutely. They do see the success of catch and release and they do think it's the way we should go. But reality is more people against it because they just want to keep and kill a fish, and
right. The so-called hook and cook.
Hook and cook. Basically, a lot of people around here is if they can't keep and kill a fish, then they don't want anybody fishing. And it's pretty sad, and that's the real reason why they're saying catch and release does not work, because they just don't want it. What they want is to go back to what it was, a kill fishery, a fish a day, and that's what they want.
What a beautiful pool they were on. A nice assignment for Anthony. Yeah. So we wanted to give you an update. Today we were contacted by the Salmonid Association. They told us that on June 21st, the province exempted a number of rivers in Labrador from the catch and release, 10 fish per season maximum.
Okay, and these are primarily rivers that don't have road access or highways crossing them. For those rivers, anglers can catch and release 3 per day with no maximum per season.
Another gorgeous shot from the rooms outside St. John's Narrows there. It is just a beautiful evening.
Yeah, you can see 2 ships there coming through the Narrows. Lovely evening to get out for a walk or really do anything. Have a barbecue. Colette will be by with your weather forecast after the break.
Well, that music means we're going to introduce you to not one, but 2 athletes of the day. Our first is Morgan Blanchard, an 11-year-old from Barishaw Brook.
She loves to play forward on her hockey team.
And congratulations on being our young athlete of the day.
And our second athlete of the day is Carson Hutchings. Carson is 8 years old, loves to play hockey.
He's been playing since he was 3 and now skates with the Lewisport Novice Seahawks.
And Carson also loves a round of golf with his dad. Congratulations, Carson. That's something I love too.
I was just going to say.
I mean, the round of golf, not necessarily with your dad. I'm sure it's great though.
Well, it would be nice to get out for a round of golf today or tomorrow.
Yes, we do. We have some lovely weather finally that we've been waiting for, and we can have a look just outside now. In terms of the current temperatures, when I say outside, this is what it's looking like. St. John's 20 degrees now, so that temperature's dropped 3 degrees from where the high was a little earlier today. I've been mentioning just because, you know, just gorgeous today in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, where it was 30 degrees, now 26. But that is very, very serious heat. We know the heat warnings extend across Quebec into the Maritimes sometimes across Quebec back into Ontario, because they're still seeing those readings where the temperatures on the thermometer are up there in the 30s, but the humidex, how it actually feels, is 43. Very serious for southern Quebec into Montreal. I believe now there's about 6 deaths that are associated with this particular weather event, and that's the thing. We have to take it very, very seriously, and that's why Environment Canada does put those warnings out there. Now, having a look at how we're doing and what's happening here, well, we've got a warm front. It's not quite that extreme in terms of the heat, but as it passes through, a little bit of light shower activity, say 2 to maybe 4 millimeters of rainfall through the overnight hours we're going to be seeing tonight here coming across the Avalon. The cold front behind that, as that moves through later in the day tomorrow, that will turn those winds around more towards a northerly direction, and it'll start to cool things down a bit. But the better part of the day should be a pretty nice one for us into Wednesday, especially if we can get rid of some of that morning fog and mist and see that moving out. And then certainly for central parts of the island to the west, and as well with high pressure building in, looks really beautiful across Labrador. So that's not only the setup for Wednesday, as I'm taking this ahead and moving you overnight Wednesday, even in towards Thursday, things looking quite good. Now it will be cooler because that wind flow from that different direction, more northerly, a little cooler than the southwesterly winds. Now as we head a little bit further in our timeline towards Thursday into Friday, notice that we've got this next system moving in, and that's going to be bringing very widespread showers right across Labrador, all the way down across the island as well, through the northern peninsula. This is into Friday afternoon, so that is the setup as we're heading into the weekend. And once that cold front goes through, it does mean we'll have some unstable conditions for the weekend, and also we're going to see the temperatures coming down a little bit cooler. But your 5-day forecast then look like this as we play it out. 18 degrees with all that sunshine for western Labrador, 17 into Thursday, but a chance of showers. In fact, it's a good chance. That's why I didn't even put that pop in there, that probability of precipitation. By the way, when you don't see me do that, but the icon shows rain showers, it's because it's over 60, so there's just no point. The chance is really good that we're going to see some of those wet conditions. 60% chance though into Friday, and then lingering in towards the weekend. Now for those of you watching us from eastern Labrador, 20 degrees, sunshine. The next couple of days look really good until that next system moves in. Western Newfoundland, look at this too. It looks quite nice. Yes, a little bit cooler in some cases, but really nice temperatures here. It's only towards Saturday where we find the temperature dropping down. For central Newfoundland, cooler than today in many parts, but beautiful the next couple of days. And for St. John's, it looks like this. Yes, we'll have that morning fog, a little bit of morning fog. We get rid of that, and then a nice day, 24 the high, a little cooler on Thursday. Looks good into Friday. It's always that weekend, right? Don't worry, we're going to fine tune that tomorrow night. Debbie?
Thanks, Colette. Well, trapped for 10 days before being found hungry but unharmed. The next steps for rescuing a soccer team of preteen boys and the coach are uncertain. The CBC's Belle Puri tells us the options officials are considering.
It's quite a story how this has evolved so quickly from the soccer team has been found to these boys and their coach are still in serious trouble. Getting them out of the cave is not going to be an easy task. Rescue teams have come up with 3 options of possible ways of getting them out, but all of them come with a risk.
There's one race against time is, can something be done to get them out before the weather changes and perhaps makes diving too dangerous? And the other one, it's the race to get them supplies in so that if they have to stay in there, they can stay in there until, throughout the monsoon.
Now here are some of the options that are on the table, keeping in mind that the cave is flooded because it is the rainy season in Thailand. One option, the soccer players and their coach could dive and swim out. That would be the fastest way to get everyone out, but the boys don't know how to swim or dive, so they'd actually have to be taught, and that could take time. Option 2. Find another way out, another spot along the mountainside where rescuers could create an opening with backhoes and drilling equipment. But the risk? The terrain could be unstable. The mountain could collapse into the cave. And the third option, wait until the rain stops, until after monsoon season in October. In the meantime, the team would be provided with food and other supplies. The cave is a 10-kilometer long stretch of tunnels and chambers, 1 kilometer below ground. And several of the chambers, water is already seeping into the areas. Any more rain, a rise in water levels could make getting out that much more difficult. Belle Puri, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, investigators in England believe a serial killer has been preying on some of the most fragile lives, newborns in a hospital neonatal unit. They're now holding a suspect for murdering 8 babies and attempting to kill 6 more. Thomas Stegler reports.
In the north of England were called in to investigate last year when hospital officials reported a higher than normal rate of deaths in a neonatal unit. Authorities started looking into the deaths of 15 babies which occurred between June 2015 and June 2016. This is at the Countess of Chester Hospital in Cheshire County, south of Liverpool. Today, police there have arrested a woman they describe as a healthcare professional in connection with the deaths of 8 babies and the attempted murder of another 6. Detective Inspector Paul Hughes is in charge of the investigation with Cheshire Police. He hasn't taken questions about how the babies died, but they did post this video statement online.
This arrest this morning will obviously be of huge impact to parents and families, and it's important to remember that they are at the heart of this inquiry. All the parents are being supported by specially trained officers and have been informed of our actions so far.
Police say their investigation is still ongoing and they have no clear timeline as to when it may wrap up. In fact, they have widened their investigation now to focus on the deaths of 17 babies in total, as well as another 15 babies who fell ill and needed urgent care. The woman arrested remains in custody and police are not releasing her name for now. Thomas Stegler, CBC News, London.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel has agreed to compromise on immigration. That saves her 4-month-old coalition government, at least for now. Her interior minister has threatened to resign over Merkel's open-door asylum policies. But after crisis talks yesterday, the pair agreed to establish border transit centers to evaluate asylum seeker claims.
About 300 people are being forced from their homes in Northern California as 2 wildfires burn out of control. Communities northeast of San Francisco are under evacuation orders. Smoke from the fires is darkening skies in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Well, that is a whirlwind of lava churning near Hawaii's Kilauea volcano. The spectacle is caused when hot gases rise and punch through the cooler air above to create a vertical column of hot air. The U.S. Geological Survey says it started and stopped within 10 minutes on Saturday. Several craters of Kilauea have collapsed, causing more than 4,000 earthquakes. The latest explosion occurred on Monday, causing a 5.3 magnitude earthquake.
Oh my.
Wow. It is that time we get to guess where in Newfoundland or Labrador do you think these twin icebergs may have been found. Look at that full moon. You guys have any guesses?
Not really.
Nope. That's okay. We'll let y'all guess at home too, and we will have the answer after the break.
Now, an extraordinary first look at a planet in the making. Astronomers say the bright spot to the right of the center in this photo is a baby planet forming in the dust that's been swirling around a young star.
Wow, the image was captured using an observatory telescope in Chile. Researchers say the planet is a gas giant larger than Jupiter and has a surface temperature of 1,000 degrees.
Hard to comprehend.
Wow. Now to the World Cup. Yeah, World Cup fever is certainly keeping these Bolshoi ballerinas on their toes, just minutes away from curtain call for their performance of Raimonda.
They crowded around a tiny TV to watch as Russia dispatched Spain from the round of 16. Another dancer and floor manager were caught checking the score just off stage. Well, you can tell by my flub on the rounds that I don't know a lot about World Cup, but Colette does.
Oh.
We have to drag her in to the shot.
I actually don't know very much at all, but I'm sorry, I'm just distracted. I'm like, then I know we've got a show we're supposed to be doing, but I'm just over here watching all these memes. Touch my arm, like literally just touch my, you know, watching all these memes. Have you seen it from the weekend of the dives during? That's all I know about, honestly.
This is fun, but we have 30 seconds to book.
Yes, here's the big reveal.
Oh, Goose Cove.
Yes, in Goose Cove, and this one is courtesy of Alan Crocker, and he's actually from Sandy Cove.
And he used a
night filter to make it look like that.
That's it from us. Have a great night, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.